And I also think the Asher goalie into Rasmus brawler matchup can be really difficult for
Hmm.
the Rasmus to win, because Asher, if they're playing well and paying attention, just able to anticipate those primaries so well. But yeah, we'll see what they can do, and I do think that is something that UAlberta will be looking for in the drafts, is just a little bit more reach.
But if you think about it, the other side has so many good options to deny that Monumentalist, right? The Asher loves it, the Juno loves it. So really at this point, it just becomes a game of roulette in a way. Can Zenith get this Monumentalist to show up in a position where he would greatly benefit from it? And looking at this, we have Might of the Colossus on both brawlers with Sparks for everyone else.
Yeah, and the Asher goalie here going for momentum boots is really interesting. I think especially on gates, strike shot is such a strong tool. You're able to push up and kind of cover behind you really well. So I guess going to be going more for just the straight push-ups with the momentum boots, but a quick 2 barriers for UAlberta. Great corner control there, and they have the goal open pretty much immediately here.
Yeah, and then on the other side, right, looking at some of these other gears, the pummelers for Rasmus is a little surprising, and then the slick kicks for Julie make some sense, just because it's just good for core control. But I'd almost like to have seen it flipped.
Yeah, the Rasmus, I think, like we talked about in the last game, when you have a newer player, having them do a lot of damage can be one way to get them into the game. But maybe the pummelers is just a little bit too much, because the speed's going to make it really difficult for A-Stam to keep up here.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if A-Stam really needs to keep up, because the core just keeps getting to him, right? Zenith and Lightsky doing their job, just making sure that the core gets him. And a great evade out by Zenith means he still continues to live, and they don't have to play this overtime in a negative power play.
Yeah, and Lightsky has that eject button, able to hopefully help a lot. Just barely finds the strike there after Zenith got it past him. Great coverage there, but Goy, right as it hit overtime, had the primary to put another strike in there. It is the first goal for UCF Rogs here.
I mean, can we just talk about how clean Lightsky has looked on the Kai so far, right? There's that Giga Blast save there, but if we go to earlier in the point, we saw Lightsky pushing up with that eject and getting a really great double barrier with alongside Zenith and A-Stam on that offense. And a good hook out by A-Stam by some time, not enough as the double barrier does fall. A good hit stun and really good strike layer out by Goy and Tenki.
Yeah, that was a really unique clear by Lightsky. He actually cleared off the opening goal barrier to get that open, but just went right back down in too much coverage, not quite able to get it done. I think Zenith and Lightsky, like we expected, doing a great job controlling the midfield, but just, yeah, need to be able to get it to A-Stam in the corners more consistently, with more abilities up if they can find these barriers quickly like they did in that first point.
Yeah, I mean, good catch out there by A-Stam, but keep in mind, there's still 2 more flips for UCF. One barrier is found by UAlberta. Lightsky having to retreat back with his blazing pace. The movement speed boost is no longer available to him on this offense, so now Zenith and A-Stam have to kind of find something themselves.
Yeah, and Lightsky looking for a lot of these plays with the Giga Blast as well. I think that's going to be another, consistent way to try to find these. A-Stam now dribbling into the corner and finds a great upward angle there. Lightsky has to use the burst pretty early to make sure Tanky can't use it in the corner. Now Tanky with the dribble, maybe use it a little bit too early, but does find the KO on Lightsky. Now it's going to have to be a power play defended by UAlberta to find this, but A-Stam not quite able to get there with the core flip, and it is a 3-0 for UCF.
Yeah, A-Stam had that core flip. I think he was in range, just didn't pull the trigger soon enough. And yeah, last game we talked about the hot shot, right? Not getting to the Juno. This time it likely will. But look at this Monumentalist, right? Either the Julie takes his Dead Awakening or the Now gets the Monu. That's what we were talking about before the game.
Yeah, but also, with the Spark start, it makes it an interesting choice if you go for the Monu or the Focus. Does decide to go for the Focus, and, that means that both members, the goalie and the midfield for UAlberta, both have 2 Sparks, and whenever that last Spark shows up, if they win that set, one of them is going to be getting it most likely. Heavy impact on the Julie is also something to look for. And this the player Amy and the Asher now has a ton of speed with these, and a Giga Blast KO for Lightsky means an early power play for UAlberta.
Yeah, and I mean, keep in mind, right, the 2 Sparks, one of them for each is that Spark of Agility, so they will be moving even faster. Lightsky looking for a play forward, but Goy does respawn soon enough, and now with that hot shot, he is looking to cause some chaos on this back end.
Yeah, but you know that core speed and just great control by them means that even though they found the KO early in this one, still haven't been able to find any barriers. A lot of pressure. Tanky finding himself low now, and we'll see if A-Stem goes over and tries to KO. The primary now gets him staggered. Not sure if Lightsky and Zenith have the cooldowns to try to finish him, but at least for the moment gets him out of the play. They're able to push it up, hit through the portal by Lightsky, but Amy is ready for it and now pushing up with the momentum boots in the ult into the corner.
Yeah, not looking too bad, but now Tanky, he finds this kill, and he finds 2 kills actually from Goy as well, and now Zenith has to find a way to hold this 1v3. It's looking pretty dire for him, but a great mind buys him some time, but not enough for the Juno Slime.
Yeah, what a great job by Goy to redirect that upwards. Tanky was able to hit it as well, and yeah, the 2 KOs, you know, they're having to deal with a lot here and not able to make use of that speed, which is their one advantage at the moment when you both go down. So, yeah, you know, definitely some adjustments to be made for UAlberta. Try to find these barriers early like they did in the very first point of this game. So far, since then, it's been a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, definitely. And they need to see if they can find their footing. Lightsky now taking this chance to run forward, but you can't really run into that Asher, right? She'll just hold that with that primary. And now it comes back to the opposite side. Tanky looking for a good shot attempt, finds the rebound with the punch, and now with Goy and Tanky both almost having their flips ready, they don't even need it to find that goal.
Yeah, great jump by Goy and just no barrage for Lightsky to try to cover that. You can see the frustration as he runs around, just nowhere to clear it there. And great coverage by UCF, who just look to be like they're firing on all cylinders here, finding great plays, and the aggression from Lightsky might come back to bite him, but great coverage by Zenith, and now has the core flip, but so many cooldowns for Tanky. That one gets struck away. Great layering, able to keep it alive, and Lightsky now with the sword angle keeps the point alive.
Yeah, and the sword angle, unfortunately, not enough. Zenith recognizing that that shot was going to the bottom, drops the mine, but it's slightly too slow. And, well, Jaime does find the shot, and now Goy is the MVP. What does he get rewarded with? Well, he might end up taking this Spark of Rezil, or just opting for something like this Primetime or Aerials instead.
Yeah, even though it's going to be a little less fun for the Juno, yeah, I think you have to deny the third Spark on the Kai there, who is already, you know, the highest level for UAlberta. It does mean the Primetime helps you get more cooldowns on the Kai, able to hold that down more, but I think, you know, a pretty weak draft for now here, not able to get too much. Some size on the Rasmus will help, but yeah, tough to see how UAlberta will be able to turn this around, but they did get more cooldowns and a little bit more reach on the Now and the Kai.
Yeah, I mean, not just reach, right? One thing to keep in mind is now this is a little bit more speed for Now as well, right? Zenith finding that extra speed gives him more control on the map, and you see, right, he is just like schmoving around. And now Lightsky gets a great clear out to A-Stem. A-Stem takes the shot right at Imi, unfortunately. And now Zenith looking for this rebound, doesn't really find it, and A-Stem almost pays for it with his life.
Yeah, but some of the best offense we've seen from UAlberta since maybe that first point. Great job now, and they have a power play. Zenith pushing ahead. The Giga Blast by Lightsky almost KO'd, almost scored it, but instead it found neither. A-Stem now with the stun, but then misses the strike. Lightsky pushing all the way up, but able to eject button back. So much speed with those sparks. Zenith now trying to do it all himself, almost finds it, but the primary just went a little too far into the goal. Lightsky now gets it through the portal, but they clear away from Zenith wisely, who gets a little impatient and ends up using his core flip.
Yeah, now, I mean, Imi really won't struggle to deal with this Now scoring capability, right? A-Stab needs to be the one to find something, and unfortunately the barrier is not what UAlberta wants to see. They want to be taking a goal for themselves, and now Tanky sitting in front of the net, waiting for something. A good barrage out by Lightsky buys more time for UAlberta, and a great proximity mine. Zenith finds the goal.
Yeah, the prime time for Lightsky coming in huge there. Went for the KO with the barrage on Tanky, but then immediately had another one to save it to the bottom. Great reactions off the hotshot Juno Slam. They're able to get their first goal here, you know, and just really consistent offense throughout that whole point by UAlberta.
Yeah, and I mean, if they can continue to maintain that offense, they'll definitely look good. And A-Stem actually surviving that dash punch flip is pretty good for UAlberta, because it means now they have another flip here, right, on the offense or the defense, wherever they choose to use it. But unfortunately, he just walks into the path splitter and dies. Now, one barrier left. Can Lightsky hold this? No, the barrage means he can't. He's still alive and has this flip in case he wants to use it. He backs up with the flip right back through the portal, doesn't take the barrier, but now A-Stem is back on the field.
And oh no, a dribble up, but Light Sky saves it vertically with the ult. What a play, but I think just completely out of cooldowns. No energy to use on an evade there. And Tanky saw the opportunity, gets the KO and the goal.
Yeah, I mean, it's really heartbreaking for UAlberta, right? Zenith and Light Sky looking so good on the defense, but I think the one thing I do want to see from A-Stam, if he can figure it out, is just maybe start to look for some of these dribbles, right? Instead of just kind of thinking, yeah, I just need to get the core forward, just play for yourself, right? And then maybe we can find some more offense that way. And good attempt at a clear by Light Sky, but it's unfortunately not enough. A great evade clear, but it just goes right back down to Goy, who's ready to catch the rebound.
Yeah, Light Sky really showing up this game, doing so much to extend a lot of these points that look doomed otherwise. In that case, just nowhere to run after the evade clear. Runs into the pass splitter, much like A-Stan did in the previous point. Another great clear, just barely off. Tanky now wins that strike war, so they do find one, but Zenith able to push ahead with those proximity mines, but doesn't quite get a barrier yet.
Yeah, but keep in mind, look at this. Light Sky has no evade, right? He's had so many great evade clears, but without an evade to his name, he really won't be able to do that against the Juliet. And unfortunately, A-Stam not in position to kind of defend that barrier through the portal. Now Light Sky looking to push up. Maybe Zenith can find something here in the corner. One barrier found, maybe a second with that mine cutting off the out clear. Light Sky looking for these passes, but it looks like it'll be over very soon because look at the energy meters.
Yeah, and a great hit by Amy. Just, everyone I think in the lobby thought he was going for the pass, but instead just puts it right into the bottom corner. Some encouraging signs from UAlberta there. I think Light Sky in particular really showing out that game, but ends up just being a 3-0 for UCF, who just looked like they were, all locked in and on the same page that game.
Yeah, and it is unfortunate for the side of UAlberta, right? This was a 9-1, but I don't know if it really felt like that, right? It did feel somewhat competitive in that regard, because Light Sky, Zenith, they were holding for quite a while. It's just unfortunately, when you're playing into an Asher, now alone can't really do much. We just need to see some hit stuns maybe from A-Stam coming in, and I think then UAlberta would have been able to find more.
Yeah, and I think A-Stam does play the Rasmus mostly, so hopefully in that next game is able to, just get a little bit more comfortable playing against, the stronger opponent, a team that's in the playoffs every season. It's definitely intimidating, and especially they switched over their goalie, and I think Amy looked really solid there. Looking at this scoreboard, the Asher goalie actually ending up with more goals than Tanky, and Juno
All I'm saying,
also
we got to
more than
fire that
Tanky.
brawler. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah.
Just might need to. But yeah, we'll see if they can find more hit stuns, find more points consistently in that way. But I think Zenith and Light Sky did look really locked in on the defense and transitioning that into offense pretty well with the eject button on the Kai.
Yeah. The one, sign of solace is that was UCF's map pick. Perhaps, because it did look like A-Stem was a little bit more uncomfortable because Gates of Obscura is not an easy map to play, right? You have the portals, you have to figure out, okay, where is the core even going and where do I stand, right? But Night Market is a map which, generally speaking, has a much more set game plan, right? You look for that speed, you look for good rotations for the core, and A-Stam can maybe find himself in better positions for those passes out by Zenith, and with so much space for something like the Asher goalie to hold, it might be a little bit more difficult for UCF if UAlberta can find that.
Yeah, definitely. I think as like the less experienced player, especially, yeah, Gates can be a really difficult map to kind of find your footing on and feel comfortable. And so if you're hoping that A-Stam will feel a little more comfortable and UAlberta in general is able to generate more offense, I think Night Market is a great place for that to happen. It can still keep the core speed up, the speed yourself with the middle speed gate. And yeah, we'll see what UAlberta is able to do. Try to get this to a third map, but UCF looking really strong in that first game once again, and both teams really, looking like they belong at this 1-0 record that they're at.
Yeah. I think that both of these teams will definitely end up in playoffs, right? Just from the assumption that like roughly half these teams will make it into playoffs, because we have like around like 30 teams, give or take, this season. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, the 30 teams, I think Both of these teams will probably be in that top 15. I think Rogs, as it looks right now, will likely end up higher, maybe even pushing that top 8, while Alberta is probably going to be like around that like top 12 to like bottom of playoffs mark.
Yeah, and that's where they were last season. And adding a new player, certainly some growing
Hmm.
pains, but they've done it before. They've had roster turnover quite a bit. I think Zenith actually had not played for a season and then came back for the last one, also playing this season. And so yeah, that's where they finished last season. I did check; it is 31 teams to be exact. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they can finish in that bottom, playoff range
Ooh.
once again as they have before.
Okay, so this is interesting, right? I think the side of UAlberta recognizing that that Asher goalie was something they really struggled into, so they denied the Dubu and first picked the Asher. Estelle's still banned, but then UCF answers by picking the Now to denied away from Zenith, and then the IME goalie, which is IME's third pick. Then Juno Kai answered, right? This is probably going to be. I actually don't know. Would this be Light Sky Juno or Light Sky Kai?
I'm guessing it's gonna be Light Sky Juno. I think, Zenith. I think Kai is the go-to third pick after the Estelle and the Now. So I think it is
Hmm.
gonna be a Juno goalie, which with that aerials, maybe some shades of Pensando, which we see in
Yeah.
Nassel, able to really help scoring. And I think that could be just what Alberta needs to, jump in there, help ace them out, and have all that reach for Light Sky.
Yeah. And I think, at least for UAlberta, their game plan is a lot more set in stone now. I was talking about this last series too, right? Where Huntington continued to pick Zentaro. Picking something like this Asher just means, all right, A-Stem, you don't have to go anywhere. Just sit on the enemy goalie and press primary or secondary when the core comes to you, right? That is your job, right? Because you can trust Zenith, you can trust Light Sky to get the core to you eventually. Because they were doing that, right? It's just unfortunately they weren't able to convert on the Asher goalie.
Yeah. And now on a we see Amy on Amy, a more, not as safe of a pick as the Asher, just who kind of wins so many of those interactions for free, it feels like. So yeah, like you said, just able to maybe just sit down there and, like you said, use those cooldowns every time it gets down there. Because I think with the Juno and the Kai and the aerial start especially, they're going to be able to
Hmm.
find the core to A stand pretty consistently.
Yeah, and hey, other fun little side note that I wanted to mention is for those who didn't know, right? Goy is actually ZZZ's younger brother, right? ZZZ, one of the most well-known artists of the community, as well as someone who greatly enjoys KOing people. As I mentioned, Goy originally started as a brawler, following in his brother's footsteps, but transitioned over to midfield for CCL.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think Astam may want to, find a bit of his inner ZZZ this game, like we were
Yes.
talking about. So hopefully he can find some KOs, and Alberta is able to get it to a map 3. Make it a more interesting series. But once again, Rogs looking really strong, really comfortable in that first map, and I think a lot of it will be on how comfortable Alberta is on this, different comp. Taking Light Sky off of the Kai, which looked really strong, but now to that Juno, and we'll see what he can do, jumping in and making use of that eject button again in a slightly different way.
Yeah, and Ariel's locked in for Zenith, Lightsky, and Aimi, and everyone else opting for Heavy Impact. One thing to note is double eject button, double mag tools.
Yeah, a lot of speed around the midfield line, and also the goalies, when their teams are on offense, are going to be hovering around that midfield line. Light Sky not holding his mouse far enough. Unfortunately, gets the jump stopped by the wall. Tanky finds it to the bottom corner, and really unfortunate for Light Sky, who goes over and is a
Yeah.
little bit upset with that middle barrier.
Unfortunate for him, but hey, he has a lot of time to find it back. Zenith already going on this offense. A good attempted Giga Blast self pass. They lose one barrier, and the clear down actually loses them the second barrier, unfortunately. And Tanky, he recognizes there's no jump for Light Sky, and he just hits it around him.
Yeah, and I know I've played with Light Sky a good amount. He was actually, him and Tanky were both subs on the power of friendship and nasty,
Yeah.
and I know Light Sky, when he makes a play like that, he loves to emote like that. He loves to stand still. So unfortunate start for UAlberta, but hopefully, with Zenith doing all this dribbling, they can find some more balance here. But Tanky, again, just finding such good placements with these strikes and is able to get it all the way around. Zenith, though, with the Giga Blast, is able to get one back, and Light Sky trying to jump in and help out the offense.
Yeah, Light Sky does try to jump in, and A-Stam actually dies here. The mine actually disappearing. Zenith catching that rebound. He almost has his flip ready, and he might end up flipping here for the barrier. The Imi turret is dropped down, and he flips defensively to make sure he lives, but he is on such low HP with no evade.
Yeah, and I think that now was about to find the KO with that heavy impact, but instead the slime sends it up, and it just has all that speed, comes off the middle, and unfortunately 3-0 for UCF. Hopefully UAlberta can find a little bit more and just kind of cool their heads after some really unfortunate bounces and unlucky points in that first set.
On the bright side, there's a fight or flight. Maybe it goes over to Zenith. Not likely. Oh, but it does. The perfect form opted for by the Juliet. So Zenith gets his fight or flight. That'll allow him to control midfield so well. And Timeless Creator, right? Interesting pickup because it's a deny away from Imi, but as Juno, it allows you to have way more presence in that midfield.
Yeah, and I think especially on the goalie, you can kind of just primary on one side, and then that's it. That slime is able to hold it for a while with the size and the duration, and you're able to go worry about the other side. The slime's getting in deep that time and are able to find the first barrier. Now Light Sky jumping in, trying to help, staying in there for a while, and has some good passes from 8-Stam, not able to find it that time, but now the Patience sends it down to Zenith, who has that fight or flight, and like you said, that's going to be such a strong pick to try to really take over this game and control it, much like Light Sky was with the Kai last time, just trying to have as much impact as possible.
Yeah, I mean, because he is able to control it like this, right? It allows him to play, to just win every single strike war, right? He has the slick kicks and a mag souls. The passive speed and the active speed makes it so he pretty much never loses control, except for when the enemies dump damage on him.
Yeah, and this time they do. They're doing it again. Finds himself staggered, able to get the speed gate to try to run away, but a little bit too greedy, going for the core, trying to help Light Sky out, but it ends up costing him his life. And Tanky, I think that one was going to score anyways, but flips just for good measure, and a 4th point over to UCF.
Yeah, I think, again, what I really want to see from A-Stam is just, like, instead of waiting in the midfield, just sit on Imi and make it so that once the core gets them, it's just a guaranteed barrier, right? Zenith is putting in so much work, gets the first one, almost gets the second, and actually forces out Imi's flip, meaning he has a chance to score here, but that's a really bad double barrier to lose to, but maybe they can salvage it.
Yeah, I saw Light Sky go for the redirect, but the strike was just a little too early or a little too late, not sure which one, but like you said, Zenith doing so much work, and they're able to keep this point alive even after that double barrier. Almost finds the angle, but a great glitch pop from Amy does save it. A-Stam not able to find it, and Goy does whiff the flip, so a big energy advantage for Alberta, but still, UCF the ones who have opened the goal this point.
Yeah, and A-Stam already off the field. Zenith with a great barrage to stop the drone from shooting it much further. And now this Giga Blast, he's buying so much time with these strike wars. He has a flip here. He might just use it to take this barrier if he really needs. There's that cyber swipe. And the glitch pop follow up, a great shot out by Imi.
Yeah, almost enough time for Light Sky to jump backwards and be able to get that, but just such good anticipation from the Amy, who's named Amy, and is able to find that one. Zenith, like you said, this fighter flight has been such a strong pick. So hard to win strike wars against a Kai with that. But, Goy and Amy are just doing a great job of holding down these last barriers so far into these points that they're not able to make enough use of that Kai speed to get it done.
Yeah, and I mean, the Kai burning one barrier off the other side with the flip, but he has no evades now, right? And he's taking a decent amount of damage. A good jump forward out by Light Sky, almost dies off the edge thanks to the drone, and now has to find a way to save it against Tanky. A good evade, even though it didn't need it. But now this is looking really dangerous as the Firewall Sentry is dropped down. There's a flip for Imi in case they decide to use it.
Tanky with the dribble, but it ends up going to Zenith off of that. The Juno ultimates put so many slimes into the play. Good evade clear by Light Sky once again. Actually didn't clear it, but the ult stopped it enough. And a heavy impact primary from now just kills A-Stam, and they're able to get it up to Tanky, who puts it in. A 5th set in a row in the series for UCF. and UAlberta gonna have to find something in this draft to turn it around.
Yeah, and I mean, something they might find is that hot shot or 1-2 punch, because likely they could technically double deny it here, right? In which case, yeah, it makes things really tough. And there's that 1-2 punch getting denied. Stacks could actually go over to Zenith, and that could be a real game changer. But off to the Stagger Swagger instead, recognizing that he is getting a lot of damage dumped onto him. But that means that the Stacks is left up for Juno. So once again, double speed for UAlberta. It means there is a world where they can come back.
Yeah, and also, A-Stam was able to find the Demolitionist last time, the Might of the Colossus this time, so rocking a cool 141 power, and then just so much speed on the other two members. If they can do that game plan like we were talking about of just having A-Stam be a pest on the enemy goalie, strike it every time it gets there, maybe try to do some damage and some ZZZing, but so far, it's just all UCF in this point once again, and the speed not able to be enough. Evade a little bit too early by Light Sky and wasn't able to strike it out of there. Tanky with another KO and another goal.
You know what? That was a tactical death, right? Because if he doesn't die there, he has no evade for the next round, right? So even if the evade clear fails, it's okay.
Yeah, able to get the energy back. And an early KO for Zenith with the Giga Blast. Is able to get them a power play and pushing ahead with so much speed. The Stagger Swagger, the Fighter Flight, getting it all done. And unfortunately, Goy ends up secondarying it backwards with the drone. So they're able to get the goal open for the first time in what feels like a while. Zenith coming back to help on defense. Barrage backwards actually is able to save it. A great play there. Now trying to keep this Fighter Flight up, get the core, and be able to dribble. But Tanky just taking up so much space and is able to get the other goal open.
Yeah, A-Stam doing pretty well in the defense, but unfortunately there, he's not fast enough to be able to cut that pass, and now the UCF Rogs are 1 point away from taking this.
Yeah, great passing by Goy off the center to just barely find the angle into the corner for Tanky, and just one more is needed. I think all members of UCF just really doing such a great job this game of understanding they just can't let Zenith completely take over, even though it's felt like it in a few points. But just playing so well, playing together, and you saw the great passing plays in that last point.
Yeah. And now we see the second barrier likely falling. A good clear out by Light Sky. Zenith needs to be a little bit careful, but with the Stagger Swagger speed, he gets one barrier, but not a second. And the foul essentially dropped on defense. The dash punch flip takes two, and Light Sky isn't able to save that second barrier. And with that, UCF Rogs take the series.
Yeah, and all three members getting involved on that last goal. Tanky with the double, the pass up to Goy, who centered it perfectly for Amy, who had the dash range to be able to score that. And I think that just showed what UCF was able to do all game, just playing together as a team, all getting it done together. And yeah, another 2-0, really strong showing for UCF, who are showing that they're definitely, seem to be on their way to playoffs for another season here, as you see the scoreboard there, and just such great participation from all three members.
Yeah, UCF Rogs looking really clean, and I'm excited to see what this team has to bring across the rest of the season, because like we saw with UT Nerd Boom before, this team's synergy is pretty good, right? This team knows how to pass back and forth between one another. I think I'd still favor UT Nerd Boom in that matchup, but UCF Rogs looking good. UAlberta, they maybe need to find a way to bounce back, but I don't doubt that they will, as they have a very strong backline core, and then they just need to help A-Stam grow into that brawler player that they need.
Yeah, and a lot of teams, that's the story. You have either one or two players who are really, experienced and competitive in playing for a long time, and then you just need to be able to get those third along. And early on in the season, you can't really expect them to be all the way there. But the fact they're able to find a win in week one, like we talked about in the last game, you just need to find 4 or 5 wins to get yourself in the playoffs.
Yep.
So they already got one there, and then gain some much needed experience today against a team that seems certain to be in the playoffs once again.
Yeah, and I guess with that, anything you want to say before we head off to a break?
No, I mean, we just saw the longest possible matchup in the CCL, I believe, as far as distance with West Canada and Florida. So the
Yeah.
servers can only go up for the rest of the year, unless UAlberta faces both UCF teams like they did last year, and it happens again. But yeah, it was a fun game to watch with you
Hmm.
to cast both of those.
Likewise.
And yeah, this third game, especially that we're going to come back to, I think is going to be one of the best ones of the week, and I'm really excited to watch.
Yeah, definitely. But I suppose that's it for us. It was a pleasure getting to cast these games, and for everyone watching at home, one more series, we'll have a new set of casters. Don't go anywhere.